Oh. Anyhow, spawning over in the bottom left-hand side, playing as the red Protoss, it is Astrea.
And his opponent, one of the most diabolical people, actually, in the StarCraft scene. It is the lovely MarineLorD. A devil, though. A lovely devil indeed, Ben.
He's a cheeky little monkey. That's what he is, cats.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Let's see. What is this SUV? What does this SUV have in store, Ben? It looks like it's headed to make what, a factory or something of the sort later.
I think it's going to be a proxy racks, actually. I got to apologize, by the way. I'm stuttering all over the shop, so I probably won't be able to pay too much attention right now.
Oh, yeah, no worries. So I'll tell you guys what's going on. It's MarineLorD just going for the engineering bay here to block. So nothing too cheeky. It's just going to be a barracks in the main and a gas as well. But the eBay block coming promptly from an unscouted SUV. So that's the nice touch here.
It certainly is. This probe over here is getting a full scout off and gets to see that it will be a second gas, actually. So, I mean, that's a big tell for him as well. But that eBay block, that's unusual. And I do like moves like that because you've practiced this. Your opponent hasn't practiced that much against it. This is already a realm where MarineLorD's going to feel a bit more comfortable, I feel.
Ooh, most definitely. Yeah, and this is a very, very wide open third band, so I would love it if MarineLorD tried to abuse this with something like Hellions, for example, because like you said, I don't think Astrea was necessarily planning to play for this, and he found out about the eBay so late that he already had the money. I mean, it's either that or what, drop 3 gateways?
No, I like this. I like the fact that this is forced this. I like that Astrea went for this as well. Because, I mean, which third do you take? I mean, this one does feel more defensive, but you're right, Cats. It's going to be hard to defend if you are against something like Hellions.
Yes, indeed. Liberator could also be very strong. And you know, like the good thing about the other base is that it's at least by air very close to your main. So maybe you could make a Stargate and try to defend both a little bit more easily, whereas this one is very far apart. So I'd love to see MarineLorD take advantage of that. Now, Ben, I have a question about this eBay. So I was suggesting an eBay block in a TVC to Future, and we were working on a build that was pretty cool. Okay, that's not here nor there, but the point is, we started considering the bunker instead. I'm finishing the bunker, and it seems like you can always get your money back or 75% of it, and it has 1 armor, so it seems like a little bit more reliable than the eBay block. So is the eBay block so that you can potentially finish it, say if your opponent chose to go for a proxy Stargate or something as a result of this?
So since we're getting technical, the bunker, you can get your money back, but there is the time where you have to sell it at, like, you know, if it's losing X amount of health per second. So it's not as precise as just canceling the eBay. And the eBay also has a lot more health. It can go up to like 800 if it's close. So in my eyes, I think the eBay is more worth it.
Cool. Okay.
I'm glad we got that out of the way, Cats. You know, we've both been thinking about that for a while. And
yeah, it's something that I've considered. I'm not sure which one's better. I think the bunker's a little bit cheaper as well, right? I'd love to see how much it takes to kill a bunker versus an eBay because of the armor and the units that are possible. Like, it might be better. Say, the armor is probably better against Zerglings than it is against Protoss units as well, so it might even be a thing for a matchup.
Yeah, for sure. This is a really weird drop, by the way. Like,
oh, a weird one.
Oh, there's one now. Blow up there on the Widowmine. Oh, what's Astrea? He didn't have to lose anything there, but oh gosh, that was a bit of miss micro by him, but it's still. Oh, okay. Hellions in the main. Shield
yeah, and the sentry was there, but she let them through. She was bribed. And now the Hellions are doing mad damage, but actually the shield battery is handling pretty fine here, as it's only 2 Hellions. You need at least 3 to one-shot probes.
I think they should add the shield battery effect to things like Queens, you know, for the drones.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Keep them alive a bit, because that seemed pretty handy at dealing with that. Anyhow, so what's MarineLorD doing behind all this? Because so far, he's on 1 CC. He's getting fully scouted here. And this is one of those games that feels super duper bad.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he did force Astrea onto this strange position, but then kind of went for the strange drop and not really abusing the fact that the bases are spread so far apart, at least as best as he could have, in my opinion. And now he's gearing up for a big push. He's pretty committed. This is as all in as it gets. Some SCVs are off the line as well. Ben, what do you think are the chances for MarineLorD to make this work?
I'm not sure. I think he's super duper dead. I think Astrea's done well. He didn't try and take like a third base. He scouted that he was against a one base all in. As long as he doesn't super mess up here, because how many Immortals is this? 2 Immortals, 10 Stalkers. That's more than enough to take down this rather measly little squad here.
Yeah, at least MarineLorD has the best position he could have imagined for himself before the fight starts, but the shield battery overcharge will make it so that nothing dies ever. And the army of MarineLorD will get easily cleaned up.
And GG, Astrea takes it pretty damn confidently here. He's against a bit of a cheesy build, but MarineLorD's follow-up there with the one base all in. That just didn't pan out at all. And Astrea, he handled himself very well. And that so far, you know, like the games that we've seen Astrea over the past few days, that seemed a lot more confident by him.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm wondering as well if, I mean, he obviously had the right read, but he had to be wondering if MarineLorD was coming to the other base, perhaps with the medevac, right? Like he kind of had all of his eggs in one basket with those stalkers waiting for the medevac drop and shutting it down as well as he did. That was just so much momentum going in his favor. But I think if MarineLorD had, you know, hedged his bets, or for that matter, dropped in the other base where there was potentially nothing, we have a very different game in our hands.
Yeah, it appears that we have a little bit of lag on our side, but I was so apparently some people were experiencing it, and very often the routing to American servers can be kind of bad, depending on which server you get. So do apologize about that, folks. But unfortunately, well, when I said it was on our end, it's not really much we can do. Hopefully it isn't happening in the next game. I mentioned it at the start, right? That I was stuttering all over the shop.
Yes, sir, yeah.
So sometimes that just happens, unfortunately, when you're on America. But apparently we did not affect the lag in-game for the players, which is very, very good.
Yeah, the game was running smoothly on their end. Okay, are we gonna stay on America as a region now? I am not exactly sure for this next game.
If Astrea is West Coast, which I guess he is.
I'm guessing East would be probably NA East would be all the games, right?
East, yeah. Does look like it. Oh. Okay. Does look like we are on East. Niall is still the host in this. Okay. Yes, should be fine. Should be fine and dandy.
Perfect. Yep. So again, we apologize for the little bits of delay and technical issues. It's not anything that we can control, as the internet has a mind of its own sometimes, especially these days.
It's always problematic, because I know when you switch server, and I know players can complain about spikes and stuff, but for whatever reason, the NA server for me really causes me issues very often. And I don't know whether it's a routing thing, because very often it'll be like, oh yeah, your ping's fine. But yeah, always a wild one it is, Cats.
Yeah, it's a little bit wild. I mean, I imagine the routing issues are the same reason we're having trouble hearing production as well at times, right? So
also in Sweden,
it's probably all connected to some degree. We are now loading into the next game though, and it's gonna be Everdream. This is a pretty cool map, especially for tank pushes and liberators. I feel like it's very tactical. There's so many cliffs. Is that your preference as well, Ben, or is there other features of the map that you like to abuse?
This map in particular, I think it's a very nice standard map. Drops in the main are always vital to think about for both players. Like Warp Prism can get in very easily, but those big drops for Terran can be rather damn gnarly. But I'm looking forward to see what happens here between them. Anyhow, spawning over in the top right-hand side as our blue Terran, it is MarineLorD.
Bottom left, coming from a victory. It is the red Protoss player for Alpha X, Astrea. Maximum Angel. And yeah, Ben, that makes a lot of sense when you mention it, because the first two bases that you would take are well, if you're south, then are northbound, right? So so that fourth or that area of the map where you would get dropped from doesn't really get taken by the defensive player for a while usually. Some people do take the triangle, especially Terran players can take the triangle because the tank is so good defensively on those cliffs, though. So I imagine then the drops become a little bit less effective.
Just let me know if I'm lagging out the game at any point, because this is very much a slideshow for me right now, cats.
Okie dokie. Now MarineLorD is gonna drop the same engineering bay. Astrea this time ready to answer with 2 probes, so it will not let it go up in HP, and that means it can get taken down fast enough that Astrea is looking to contest the position to drop the Nexus on location.
So Astrea's approach this game is very different in that he's stopping the engineering bay from being built. This is also one of the things This is also one of the things that when we talked about the bunker versus the engineering bay starts off with more health in a situation like this, which also helps.
Absolutely. Well, the second engineering bay will go down, but it will be promptly dealt with as there is already 3 probes on location. So without advancing it further, I can't imagine MarineLorD's very fond of it, right? He can't be too happy with this.
Sorry, my screen totally froze there.
No worries. It's small stuff happening so far in any case. Nothing game-defining. There is an Adept now on the way for Astrea, who has made a wall-off that is Reaper-proof at the top of that ramp. But MarineLorD didn't even bother with the Reaper, so there is a Marine first opening on his side as well as an SCV on location.
And that SCV that's wandering away, that is going to be a cheeky SCV, I do believe. It could be just circumventing the middle of the map to try and get a scout off, given that he didn't go for the Reaper. But the fact that it's heading so far south, I got to be thinking, yeah, okay, proxy starfall.
What a nasty. Does this position tell you anything about what it could potentially be? Is there or I guess it could just be anything, but there's no space for an add-on, for instance.
It's usually a medevac and to get to the main base rather quickly.
Oh, okay. So Hellion drop?
Yeah, I think so. It could also be like 2 Hellions into 2 Widowmines and that kind of thing, but I'm guessing more Hellions. So the Hellions build a lot faster than the medevac. So producing those now, they'll get over to the other side of the map around the same time that the medevac does from that position. And then MarineLorD's definitely going to go for some economic harass here.
Absolutely. So he does not want to lose these Hellions. That is paramount right now. You have to be consistent with your strategy. So run away from the rest of the units. There is no room for Rambais, and I don't even like any traits of health from those Hellions unless they're really, really good here, because you want to wait for your 2 brotherly Hellions and do as much damage in that main as you can. Now they are coming out and heading towards Mama Medevac, but there is an Adept trying to spot for it.
That Adept, by the way, that just shows that Astrea's clued into the game, like his feeling is in the right place. Oh my gosh, he actually scouts it. Okay, that is really bad for MarineLorD. Wait, but he didn't actually... Okay, I just saw all those Stalkers not actually moving, but now they're moving to the main base. But MarineLorD, upon getting scouted, he's like, you know what? I'm actually just going to go to the natural, mate. Let's see what we can get done over here.
Yeah, I would have almost liked to see the bait from the medevac empty into the main base, but this will allow MarineLorD to actually do exactly this, to reposition if he wants. And oh, that wall from Astrea, he might want to cancel it now because it's gonna hurt him. There's still 1 Hellion in the natural base that could be deadly if unaccounted for completely, but no, Astrea will realize and finally get a cleanup, but not before 13 workers go down.
Definitely a good cleanup by Astrea. Now, MarineLorD has to worry, though, about the counter-attack potential. Blink's finishing up. How many gateways do we have finished as well? Is it 3? Looks like 3 gateways as well. So there's a lot of warp in potential here.
There's no vision though whatsoever. An observer now being produced, but there's no sentry or anything to spot on the high ground. So there's not much that these stalkers are gonna be able to do with their blink timing unless they want to go for the tank.
And no warp prism. He went for the observer first instead of anything like that. This kind of wall-in that MarineLorD's trying to craft here with the engineering bay is also cool. Makes things a little more worrisome.
Ooh. Gutsy. Okay.
Not entirely sure if that was worth the second shot there, but Astrea, he's going to play greedy afterwards. Despite taking so much damage, you have to do something like this. And I like this kind of move from him. Very often, we can judge players kind of like, oh my gosh, why is he playing so greedy? Well, the thing is, if he doesn't and he just plays catch-up from this point on, he's just always going to be behind, you know? Like,
Yeah.
Players, when you're behind, when you feel you're behind, you have to take risks. You have to assess where the game's going, cut the corners where you can, cut the safest corners. There's like 100 options you can make from this point in time. So Astrea, he chose to go for fast third as a response, but also Robo Bay, which is very unusual.
Yeah, I personally on my stream, I like to joke this a lot or about this a lot, but you know, sometimes something happens in StarCraft and it's like a tiny thing and it feels bad. But when you are set back, the worst thing that you can do is to give up. You have to try to look for places to punch back, and there's usually places that are gonna be made available because your opponent is committing something to their aggression in the first place, right? So you gotta look for those punchback moments.
Okay, so MarineLorD's continuing the tank production. This is something that we talked about earlier, right? Like continuing the tank production in this matchup is definitely a little bit different from Terrans these days in TVP. But I think that's going to be pretty good against the army comp of Astrea, which is going to be Stalker Colossus so far. I know he's adding on Zealots right now, which are really good against tanks, but against the base of his army, it's pretty solid.
Indeed. So what would you make as a Protoss player against tanks though, Ben? What is the way?
The dream against this kind of army?
Yes,
like Charge Lot, Archon, Storm in a medevac is like the dream.
All right, so that's good to know. Because I really struggle with tank compositions, but I think it's because I go for Colossus super early and super often as well. And the Colossus seems like such a great anchor against everything else. But tanks are so powerful, they outrange they're one of the very few units that outrange the Colossus and can really blast it.
Certainly, like very often you go for like the Raging Bull approach, where like this is decent, but you see how much he's switching into these Zealots now to try and deal with this. And that was a nice grab. One Marine lives. Oh my gosh, he is
very, very fast on the force fields, and now the tanks are on siege. This might be Astrea's go time. The tanks re-siege, but too late. This is gonna be a nice cleanup, splitting the Colossus as well. MarineLorD will fall 2-0, and the American advances to